Hello everybody, my name is Vandolph Estrelado, and today we have a problem. The problem is that we need to make a game in less than 5 days. The solution is make a game in less than 5 days. Now, what is the problem exactly? The problem is that our boss, and I'm not gonna say any names, but our boss, Bart, demanded that we make this game over here using these resources. What kind of game will it be? Well, the game looks like this. So what I'm imagining is this is going to be a fighting game, and monsters, and then this is the main character, and he's just going to be going to be a platformer. It's going to be two-dimensional, and of course, most importantly, it's going to be portable. And we need to make it in less than 5 days, as we said over here. Where is it? Right here. So today is December 19th, and we have to finish before December 25th. So we have well, we're not counting today because it's already kind of late, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, about 5 days. All right, now can we do it? Of course we can. All right, now I do have a couple of requirements before we can begin this video. Before you even continue watching this video, the requirements are: you know how to add, you know how to subtract, and most importantly, you know how to multiply. Now, division is not necessary, but it's a plus. And you must know basic programming. What I mean by this, you must know conditionals, assignment, and loops. Right? So as long as you know these things, you are good to go. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be solving this problem using LibGDX. LibGDX is a framework around a lot of things, and it makes our life so much easier. As a matter of fact, I'm in love with LibGDX. In any case, I'm not here to talk about my romantic life, as I have none. I will be coding in a rapid prototyping kind of way, meaning I'm going to be coding as fast as I possibly can because we have a deadline. Our deadline is 5 days. So without further ado, let's begin. All right. First thing we got to do is go to the internet and download and go to LibGDX and go ahead in the wiki and developer's guide. And I guess I do have one more requirement. Before you even continue watching this video, make sure, well, you have Java installed, you have the proper Android widgets and stuff installed, you have Eclipse, and yeah, which basically means that you must have been able to follow this simple game example in the LibGDX wiki website. Now once you've done that, you are ready to go. Alright, so now we need to set up our project. We need to download this jar file, which will set up the project for us. And what we're going to do is we're going to create an empty folder. I'm going to call it KungFu Nekko, and I'm going to put this jar file in this folder, and we're going to hit this, and what it's going to do for us is going to create the Eclipse project for us, which is pretty cool. Now what I'm going to name the game is, the name is going to be KungFu Nekko. I'm going to name the package like I usually do. Game class. Oh shoot, what did I do? Wow, I don't know what I did. Anyways, it's gonna be we're gonna name the main class KF Nekko. It doesn't really matter what you name it as long as you're consistent. All right, we're gonna download the LibGDX jar file. I love this GUI. It's really freaking awesome. And now we are ready to go. Launch it. We're all done. Okay, so now we have a bunch of these projects. We have the Android project, we have the desktop project, and we have the HTML project. The only thing we're going to care about is this project over here, the main project. Anyways, let's delete these two. We're not going to use them ever again. Alright, now we're going to open up Eclipse, and we're just going to go to the folder that we created, that we put our project in. Oh, that was the wrong folder. Oh man. Okay, my bad guys. That was the wrong folder. So we're gonna need to switch workspace. My goodness. There you go. Oh, by the way, I just finished my finals, so I'm pretty happy about that. I think I did pretty good. Alright, anyways, let's go to File, Import, General Existing Projects into Workspace, and we're going to go to KungFu Nekko over here, select that folder, and finish. And now we magically have all of our projects right in here. We're going to clean it up. I'm just going to put it over here. Alright, and we're seeing a lot of errors. No, we're not. Alright, and if this is your first time developing for the Android, then you're going to get a lot of errors here, but I'm pretty sure you guys can figure it out. Just go to the Android SDK Manager and download the proper SDKs, the standard development kits. Now what we're going to do, again, we're not going to care about the Android project. We're not going to care about the desktop project. We're not going to touch the HTML project. All we're going to do is work in this project over here, but we're still going to keep the rest open, and you'll see why in just a minute. And this is going to be our main class. Alright, but before we get started, let's open up our main class. Whoa, something wrong happened. What is this? Anyways, this is our main class. Alright, now if we run this, let's see what happens if we run this. Now we can't do this. We can't run this project over here because it's not really runnable. We're going to need to run it via the Android, desktop, or HTML. The fastest way is the desktop, so what we're going to do is right click, run as Java application, and we're going to select the main class over here, and we see something like this. LibGDX is blah, 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 blah. Now what we're going to do is, well, we want to start off in a clean slate, so we're going to delete everything in our main class. As a matter of fact, just Well, let me show you what to delete. Delete all of that. Delete that. And you don't want to delete these. That's very important. Just keep it there. You don't need to know what it does. And we are ready to go. Now if we start this up, I believe nothing is going to appear. No, not... okay. Ah, I keep clicking the wrong things. What is wrong with me? Right, empty screen, which is good. That's what we want. Alright, again, before we get started, let's go on to our Android project. And what we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to go to our main activity, and we're going to set use GL20 to true. We are also going to set we're going to use the accelerometer, so set that to true, because we are going to be programming for the Android. But of course, once you program for the Android or whatever, you also program for the desktop in HTML, which is pretty cool. We're not going to use the compass, so set that to false. Alright, and now what we're going to do, there's a couple of more things we need to do. We're going to go onto our Android manifest, and we're going to set this min SDK version to version 8. Why version 8? It doesn't really have to be version 8. It could be some lower version, but version 8 because of this line over here. Install location, we want to say prefer external. Now instead of our game being saved in the phone's memory, it can be saved in our SD card, which is what we want. And version code, let's just say 1.0.a or something like that. It doesn't matter. And our target SDK, whoa, I guess can't do that. Or never mind. I mean version name. It was not version code. It's version name. 1.0.a. Alright, our target SDK version is going to be 15, simply because, well, no reason really. And we need to go to our project properties and make sure that this is 15. What do these numbers mean? These numbers correspond to the API levels over here. So our target API level is level 15. That is why that's a 15. And our min SDK version API level is going to be level 8. That's all it is. Alright, and now we are ready. We are done. We are never going to touch the Android project ever again. Now let's go on to our desktop. And what we're going to do is set the use GL20 to true. And we're going to keep the width and height to be 480 by 320. Now as for the HTML project, I don't think we need to do anything special. Yeah, just make sure that these are the same. Well, they don't need to be really. Alright. Now we are ready. You guys can now ignore all of these 3 projects because you'll never be going into their source code ever again, unless you make some platform dependent stuff. But we're not going to do that. We're going to make a simple game. This is going to be a very simple game. You only have 5 days. Remember, we only have 5 days. Because our boss is being the best boss ever. Alright. So this is what we got so far. Alright, what we want to do first, at least what I want to do first, is I want to draw a background first. So if we go back to our problem, now if we go to our problem area, where is it again? It's I demand right here. We need to make a game like this. Alright, now what I want to do first is set up the UI, because, well, that's just my preference. I want to set up the UI first, and I want to draw the background. So first and foremost, let's download the main resource that we're going to use. And we're going to download the background first. Where is it? The background is over here, the tile set. What we're going to do is download the background first. Alright, now we have the background. Let's take a look at it. Oops, that's not what I mean. I guess another requirement is for you to have GIMP. Know at least how to use it. The basics of GIMP. It's really not that difficult. Alright, we see that our dimensions are 480 by 128. However, I don't think that's correct. Again, let's take a look at the problem. There was a mock-up that over here. Here's the mock-up, the concept, and let's open that up. Alright, here we see that if we copy the background, we see that the background is incredibly a lot smaller. Now, what's gonna happen if we scale the layer by 200%? Now the background fits. So we're gonna keep this background. It's gonna be a okay, and we're gonna call this background PNG. You want to save it as PNG format because it is the most compressed format, and we want to save as much space as possible. Alright, now that's our background, but we're not done yet. If we take a look at our viewport, at our screen dimensions, not viewport, sorry. We set our screen dimensions to be 480 by 320. Now the dimensions of this is 960, which is okay, but the height is lacking. So 320 minus 256, that's about, I don't know, about 70, 60, 66 or something like that. Is it 66? Yeah, it's 66. So, no, 64, sorry. Anyways, so what we need to do, well, we don't want to stretch it. We don't want to stretch it. We don't want to stretch the height because it's not going to look right. Well, it's not going to make much difference, but I usually don't want to stretch the height. We usually want to keep working on a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning that, well, you'll see what I mean. When we draw this, when we actually draw this, we don't want to stretch it so that it fits the entire screen. I mean, it's just, I don't like doing that. So what we're going to do is create the UI first, so that maybe have like a black thing here over here, something like that. Well, let's create the UI first. What is it going to look like? Alright. Again, if we create a new with our dimensions, our screen dimensions is going to be 480 by 320. Let's just make this black. Create a new layer. Call it UI. Alright. And our background is going to be this thing over here. Copy this. paste it over here. Now, right, it's gonna be something like, I don't know, maybe something like this. Except, I don't know, maybe this is a little too, well, let's delete the black background. Alright. What we're going to do is we're going to call this the HUD.xcf. Just keep it. Alright. Now let's find some buttons that we're going to be using. Let's go ahead and search HUD. No, GUI. Not the forums. I don't want to search the forums. Okay. Let's take a look. I don't see anything here. It's got to be something simple, something that goes with black. This actually makes a pretty good health bar. We'll take that later, but that's not our main priority right now. Oh, this looks good. Yeah, this is gonna work, especially since we're gonna be targeting an Android phone. So what we're gonna do is download this, and we're gonna open it up. Alright, now we're gonna be using this, and let's just copy it piece by piece and see where it goes. Well, I think they should go on top, right? So well, first I guess something like that, maybe. Yeah, it looks good. And well, we don't need that. Put that right over there. Right? Yeah, it looking pretty good so far. All right. Now this is going to be our pause and options button. Let's put it over here. And let's separate it a little bit. It might be a little too close. Something like that. And maybe we're going to put the buttons over here. Now I guess we're not going to put the entire button. We're just going to put, I guess, half of it. We're not going to include the down button. Let's paste that over here. That looks about right. And let us erase a couple of things. Use freehand over here. Alright. Oh geez, and I just realized that I'm not working on the same. I'm working on the same layer as the black background. Well, anyways, it's a simple solution. Control X, Control Paste, and make a new layer. There we go. All right. Now let's copy the rest over. This is going to be the jump and the attack buttons. Let's put it over here. Something like that, maybe. Okay, and yeah, that looks quite good. Again, oh my goodness, I put it in the wrong place. Anyways, what we're gonna do is maybe this is gonna be maybe it's going to be like this, right? And then the background is going to be over here. Let's transfer this over. All right, that looks okay. All right, yeah. Well, let's make another layer. And yeah. So, oh, I guess we can put a circle over here or something like that. So let's do that. Circle tool. Maybe something like this. Right? And also the same thing over here. Just to same thing over here. Hold on a moment. Maybe not, that's too far. Maybe a little bit above. I hate it when that happens. Sorry guys, I seem to be having a case of... Alright. Let's copy and paste that over here. Yeah, that looks quite good. So this is going to be our... well, since we're going to be using the accelerometer, pressing the right button, I guess we shouldn't really make the character move by pressing the right button. Because the way the accelerometer works on the Android is that when you tilt it, and I'm holding my phone in the in front of the computer screen as if it's going to get recorded. I'm so stupid. And I guess this is something like a combo system. Like if you press down then up, the cat is going to do an uppercut or something like that. Now this is going to be something like a pause button. It's going to be an options button for settings or something like that. And then this is maybe like a combination of down, up, up, and then you press this and then it's going to execute the move. And then this is for the jump. And then the way I guess the way the user is going to move around is by tilting the phone. So yeah, I guess that's the way we can use the accelerometer. And maybe what we're going to do with these two over here, well, it's not that important right now. We haven't even gotten to implementing this yet. We'll find out what we're going to do with these two, but leave it there for now. Now this is just the concept, but it's important that you lay things out first before you program them in. It's just, well, it's, I guess that's just the way I work. Alright, let's just keep it here for now. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to our project right over here. And we're going to, I guess, let's create our camera class. No, you know what? Let's do this first. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just making some final variables. I'm not, again, I can't explain everything. I'm not gonna, this is not a Java tutorial, so you guys are just gonna have to follow along. Now this is just the way I do things. I like to do things this way. You can do things differently. Instead of using final int, you can use enums, but I like to use integers. We'll be using enums later on, and if you don't know what enums are, you'll know what they are soon enough. Okay. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna set, I guess, public And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to make everything public static in this class, because this is our main class, and you'll see why. Now, public static, I heard, is not really secure because an attacker can do something with it. But again, I really don't care about security for this project. It's a game, and we're going to set view. Go to view loading. All right, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to move this dispose over here. And we're not really going to be touching pause, resume, and we're barely going to be touching this pose. And if you guys don't know what the lifetime cycle is for the LibGDX application listener, you guys can check that out for yourself. This also belongs here. Alright, and now what we're going to do is, now there really isn't a, what do you call it? There really isn't a update and render. LibGDX doesn't separate it. It's all in this, everything happens in this render method. So what we're going to do is we're going to update our game, and then we're going to render our game. And if you don't know what this logic is, the update and render, update and draw, it's basically all you're doing is separating your game logic from your output, which is the drawing, the sound and stuff like that, because you want to separate game logic and the drawing and stuff like that in order to have a constant frame rate. Sorry, not frame rate, but updates per second. And updates per second should be separated from frames per second. FPS, UPS, two different things. If you don't know what they are, look them up online. Now, right, so we're going to update and draw. What we're going to do is we're going to create our camera class. We're also going to create our sprite batch. Well, instead of just doing that, let's actually create it, right? Right. Sprite batch. Let's import that. We're also going to create our camera class. Now, don't import this because we're going to be creating our own camera class. We're going to call it, just go ahead over here, and we're going to create a new class. We're going to call it camera. Now, what this camera is going to do, oh, and I guess before we even do anything else, what we're going to do is create some interfaces that we're going to be using a lot. We are going to be creating the updatable interface and the drawable interface. You can name them whatever you want, but to me this makes the most sense. And I will add documentation later on, but for now I'll add documentation off screen because I think that's very tedious. So what we're going to have here is a public. I guess you don't need to put public because by default interfaces are all public, but let's put public anyway. Alright, this is all that's going to have, this is all that this interface is going to have. Sorry, draw. And it's going to take in a sprite batch. Right, we're done here. And you're going to understand why we're doing this interface thing. It's not necessary, but we're doing this in order to put stuff, different things on a list. And interface is better. Well, I wouldn't say better, but it should be preferable over inheritance, simply because in Java there's no multiple inheritance, and you want to use extends, you want to use subclassing sparingly. Unless you really have to subclass something, use an interface instead. Alright, so update, it's just going to have one method. And I'm sorry if I'm coding a little bit slow. I'm just not used to coding and talking at the same time, so it affects my performance. Anyway, this camera class is going to implement updatable. Well, because we're going to be updating this. You'll see what I mean soon enough. What we're going to have is a orthographic. This is a LibGDX class. Graphic camera. I'm going to call it camera. And I know it's confusing. We have an orthographic camera in a camera class. I guess you can call this maybe a Nekko camera. I'll just call it camera. It's going to be a little confusing, but it's okay. Orthographic camera. No. There we go. Alright. So what we're going to do is create our constructor, I guess. And we're going to initialize our camera to a new orthographic camera. Now this uses the GL ortho instead of the GL perspective. GL ortho because, well, it's a 2D game. We really don't need perspective. And we're going to set this to ortho. Our Y down is going to be false. We don't want our Y direction to increase downwards. We want it to increase upwards, just like in OpenGL. This is an option because in some cases the implementation is that the Y grows downwards. That is the case for the Android canvas, and it's a pain in the ass to have to do everything downwards. And I guess our viewport width is going to be, we're going to parameterize this. We're going to say maybe settings dot well, and what we're typing right now doesn't exist, but we will create it. And this is going to be the view height. And we're just setting up our viewport. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a settings class. Alright, and this is going to have a well, let's set it to private. Preferences. Well, let's not do preferences. It's not really necessary. What we're going to do is just a public float view width, view height, and I guess let's we're going to need it. View width half, view. And you must be questioning me, well, what is that half for? I'm doing this because I want to compute the half of the width and half of the height only once, because we're going to be needing them constantly, and I don't want to be dividing this over and over again to get the same value. So just compute it once and it's over. And I guess we also need the quarter width and the quarter height, and you'll see why soon enough. I mean, this is just my way of doing it. You know, you could do it another way. It doesn't really, you don't have to follow what I'm doing. Everybody has their own style of programming. Oh, I really can't talk and program at the same time. It's so difficult for me. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to set the GDX.input, and we're going to set our catch back key to false. And another one is the set catch menu key to false. And we're going to be doing something about that later on, but for now, just trust me on that. Just set it to that for now. Alright, now we're going to initialize our view width equal to 480. Well, you know what? What we're going to do is, might as well, while we're at it, we're going to set the preferences. I'll call it prefs. And let's set it to, well, I don't want to initialize it. Well, let's just initialize it here. Why not? And this is the way we're going to be saving things. Now you can use databases and stuff like that, XML, JSON, whatever you want. But this is just a small game. We're not going to go to Super Saiyan mode because we don't need it. Make sure it's the bad logic one. And what we're going to do is we're just going to say prefs.get float, and we're going to say view the width, set the default value to our 480.0f, and our view height is going to be 320.0f, and we're going to compute these things it's going to be a times 0.5 for division by 2. Now you can shift the bits to the left, the shift bit operator. Division goes this way. Anyways, I like to just do it this way anyways. And I don't like using division with floating points. I think division with floating points is a lot more expensive than multiplication. I don't know. It's just my superstition. Again, I'm not saying anything here because it's kind of self-explanatory. Alright, and yeah. And we're not going to be saving it yet. We'll do that later on. For now, this should work. We're going to write KF Nekko over here and create a public static. And what we're going to do is we're going to initialize our settings over here. Okay, and we are ready to go. Now on our update, on our update method, we're just gonna well, we're not gonna do anything yet. So let's close our camera class for now. Right, so we have our camera, our settings. Let's create our background class. And I like to create a background, not a background, but a class for everything. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is create a background class. I'm going to call it background. And we're not going to put it here. Are we going to put it here? Hold on. Right, so I guess we're going to put it in a separate package just to keep things organized. I'm going to put it in maps. But it's not really a map, it's a component of a map, so components. Alright, we're going to create it over there. And what we're going to do with this background class is, we're not going to do a lot with it, but what we are going to do, this is going to implement and drawable. And make sure you import the correct ones. You know, the ones that we made. All right, in our update method, I guess in our draw method, all we're going to do is batch dot draw. It's going to be a texture region, I guess, and draw the background. You know what? Let's go back to our camera class because we need to draw this somewhere. And what we're going to do in our camera class is we're just going to create a rectangle. Import the one from bad logic. And what we're going to do is with this rectangle is well, rect equals new rectangle. That's of course. And I guess we should just yeah, so this rectangle is gonna follow the camera. And what I mean by that is we're just gonna set our rectangle to always follow the camera. Camera dot position dot x, which is at the center of the screen. So this is that. Camera dot position x is right here, and camera dot position y. So this is the center x and the center y. We're going to set our camera rectangle to is half from here minus half of the width. That's the x of our rectangle, and from here minus half of the height. Okay, let's get to that. And that's why we have this view width half. Pretty cool. Camera dot position dot y minus. Now I'm doing it this way because we're going to be using the combined projection matrix, and we don't want to be switching projection matrices all the time, so we're just going to be using one projection matrix, and that's going to be the combined projection matrix. The camera dot combined. This is the projection matrix that we're going to be using. You'll see what I mean soon enough. And I guess our width and height is going to be I am going so slow. I apologize, guys. I really cannot talk and program at the same time. I usually go 10 times faster than this, but I'm just trying to explain everything, even though I said it's not a tutorial. Anyways, after we made usually want to, of course, you want to call camera.update. We're not calling camera.update because of this. We need to call camera.update constantly to make sure the camera is updated. Did we import this? Oh, we didn't. Alright, so again, for our background, what we're going to do is draw background. Our rectangle dot x. Right, that's where we're going to draw our background. I guess minus an x offset. Right? And you'll see what I mean by this. Okay. So what this is going to do is going to draw the background starting at camera position x, always starting at the leftmost position of our screen, which is hold on, which is this one over here. So the background is always going to be drawn from here. So this is the x and y, the base x and y of the background at all times. because we don't want to be scrolling the background as uh, as we as our character moves around that way or that way. We are going to be scrolling it a little bit on the X direction. We're not going to be scrolling it up and down. So up and down is a no-go, but we are going to be scrolling it a little bit in the X direction whenever our character or our camera moves to a different position. So, oh, and our background is going to be a atlas region. We're going to call it background. And yes, we are going to be using texture atlases so that we can avoid having to texture switch. And texture switching is very, very expensive. You never want to texture switch. So since this game is it's not going to be a big game, since I think this we can fit everything in a 2048 pixels by 2048 pixels texture, we're going to be using a texture atlas so that we don't have to texture switch at all. And as a result, it's going to be really fast. It's going to be blazing fast. The frame rate is going to be just awesome. And we are going to be adding a Y offset, but the Y offset is going to be constant. So we're going to be doing in our update method, we're going to be, well, first let's actually declare these things. And we're going to create this X offset ratio. And this is one of the requirements that I told you about, where you need to know how to do a little bit of math. Just a little bit of math. You don't need to be a genius at math, but you need to do a little bit of math. Because we're going to be doing a lot of subtraction, addition, ratios, and stuff like that. And if you don't know what atlas regions are, you'll know them soon enough. Now, what we're going to do is the height of the bottom, I guess, HUD cover. That's what we're going to call it. What I mean by that is the bottom of our, the bottom of this, like this one over here. This is where we're going to start drawing the background, or we can draw it in the middle. You know what? I think that's a better thing to do. We can just draw it in the middle. Yeah. Let us just draw it in the middle. I think that's a better response to this. So, draw background and center Y. So I guess Y offset is going to be equal to well, you know what? No. Let's draw the background at the bottom of the HUD cover. Why not? Let's do it that way. So the Y offset is going to be equal to KF Nekko settings. And this is my style of programming. Again, I said this is exactly why I have everything here as public static, so that all of the classes are connected via our main KF Nekko class. Everything can be referenced through this class, which we only have one per instance. You can't run two of these at one time on an Android. Well, never mind. You get what I'm trying to say. And view height, and I guess it's maybe 20%, right? 0.2 is about 20%. What I mean by that is starting here, it's about 20% of the height of the whole entire thing. Well, let's just say 20%. Let's see what happens. And then we're going to calculate the amount of unseen space in the texture. Because remember, the texture size is huge. In the x direction, it's 960, and remember, in our width of our viewport is only 480, so we're not going to be seeing the whole entire background. So that's what's going to give us room to scroll a little bit when we're moving around. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to say the max x offset, and this is simple math. Background width minus our so this is the amount of unseen space in the texture, right? The background original minus the view width. Max x offset. And I guess let's just float. And let's do the I guess the ratio of map width to max x offset is going to tell us how much should x offset be at any given point in the map. And that's our ratio, which is just going to be our max x offset divided by our map width. Map.width. And again, this class doesn't exist yet, map. We're going to need to create that. I always do this. This is the way I do things. I always just write things down that doesn't even exist yet, but that's just my style of doing it. Coding. Package, we're going to go to our maps. Whoa, what's going on? What is going on? Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me, bro. That's why. It's because this package already exists. Maybe we can create it over here. Kid. Damn it, we should have created it first. Well, I guess we have no choice. What we're going to do is we're going to, I guess, move this to maps. Right, now we just tricked LibGDX, Eclipse, into making the maps package. And then what we're going to do is move this back to maps components. Never mind. Control Y. And what we're going to do is new class. I'm going to call it map. Alright, let's go back here, our background, bring it back to components. Alright, now let's go to our map, and it is going to implement. Now I know all these implementing interfaces doesn't make sense at the moment, but it will soon enough. Again, you don't need to do this, but I like to do it, so I'm going to do it. If you don't like it, go away, don't watch the video. Alright, and Eclipse always does this to me. I like it. This some way to tell Eclipse. Anyway, so our map is going to have public float width and height. For now, let's just say let's just hard code it for now. Let's just say that our width is maybe 1,000. Height is going to be I don't know. Height is going to be just say 500 for now. And we're not going to be determining what these are later on. You know what, maybe just say 232. It doesn't really matter. We'll fix that later. It's going to be parameterized, but for now this is all we're going to have. And let's create our map variable in our Nekko over here. Import it. Again, make sure that you're using the things that we created, right? So, all right. Okay, got a new map, and I guess we're gonna put our you know what, we're gonna put, since this is gonna be a very small game. Oh, and I forgot. And for those of you that have been irritated because I didn't take care of this already, I'm sorry. I apologize. Almost forgot. Dispose. I apologize. I'm sorry. Okay. Now I guess one thing we can do is we're going to create a class. We're going to call it our resources class. This is called a resource or something like that. And this is going to implement, again, it doesn't need to implement disposable, but I just like it this way. Hey, what's going on? Disposable. Come on, I know the sprite batch implements disposable. Yeah, maybe I spelled it incorrectly. No, I did not. There we go. And we're going to be keeping all of our resources, all our sound, our textures. Now, I've never done this before, but since this is a small game, I might as well do it like this. So, public resource. No parameters. It's going to have a public texture atlas. And we're going to initialize our atlas to a new texture atlas. And this is the beauty of LibGDX kicks in here, because just look how simple it is to make a texture atlas. Now let's say we're going to put it in our texture folder, and we're going to name it KungFu. This doesn't exist yet. Alright, this does not yet exist, and it's going to be a .pack file. If we run this, we're going to get an error because this file doesn't exist. I can't program and talk at the same time. How humiliating. And dispose, all we're going to do is atlas.dispose. And this is going to be we're going to add sounds here, music, so we're going to put all of disposable stuff in here so that we only have to call it once. But anyways, let's go back to our main class over here. We're gonna need a resource. I guess we want to initialize it first at the very beginning. Right? And of course, before people get more annoyed at me for not disposing things right away, and put it here now. And I guess we can create a list of disposables, maybe, because it no. We could create a list of disposables, but we don't have a lot, so it's okay. What do we have so far? We have our map, we have our resource, we have our settings, background, and we don't have our background yet, so we're gonna create our background. I'm gonna put it here. And at resource .atlas.find region, and I guess we're gonna name it background. Again, this does not yet exist. We're going to create it later on, but for now just set it up so that once we have our stuff, or you know what, maybe we should initialize our getter resource, our texture pack everything first before we code, because I know that this doesn't make any sense. So I guess, yeah, that's what we should do first. But before we do that, all we're going to do is just finish this up, finish our background class up so we can forget about it forever. In our update, all we're going to do is update our x offset, because that's the only thing that's going to be changing to x offset ratio, multiply by the ratio is the ratio of map width to max x offset. So I guess the ratio, okay, if our, right, let's see if this works. So the position of our camera at the leftmost position times the x offset ratio. So if the camera x position is all the way on the left side of the map, meaning camera direct.x is 0, there is no offset. However, if it's at the maximum right side of the map, x offset is going to be close to our map width. Yeah, this makes sense. Okay, so what I'm going to do. So yeah, this is basically it. I don't think we ever need to go back here. Okay, so just close that. And let us go to our resource and let's create this KungFu Nekko.pack. I guess that's our next assignment. Let me take a little break here because my voice is starting to break, and maybe I'll start rendering the video so I can upload it to YouTube, and then I'll start the next recording at about maybe as soon as I get this uploaded to YouTube, maybe I don't know, 7 o'clock. All right, till then, see you next time.